This is just a follow-up very briefly to the last video, where the last video was called Divination and Damnation, and I pretty much put forth the idea in that video that the tarot is about processing karma that's coming up. And in that video, I guess it was the plan from the start to also address how tarot can be used to predict the future, or how maybe it's even misconstrued to be used as a tool that can predict the future. So in this video, we can talk about that. So when we have these various spiritual tools that give us a window into the psyche, they can be used as sort of tantric tools or magical tools for the practice of achieving enlightenment. And so the way we can look at magic is that it is a system of enlightenment practices which have been misunderstood over time and then sort of repackaged as wishful thinking in terms of magic that'll get you what you want. Okay, this doesn't mean, though, that magic can't be used to get you what you want. Tarot can be seen as one of those examples where it provides a means of like projection, or a means of seeing the various archetypes that exist in the psyche, particularly in the Western psyche. And as you look at these things, if there are elements of those archetypes operating within you right now, they tend to percolate up to the surface, so you can sort of see them and then deal with them as the cards supposedly speak to you, right? And somehow, as the tarot was sort of repackaged by the uninitiated into a tool for magic or for predicting the future to get what you want or things like that, right? The Enlightenment practices were lost. But this doesn't mean that the tarot can't be used to see what's coming for you. It doesn't mean it can't be used to see into the future. I think if you watched the last video, you could already gather that the things that are coming up for you, the things that are coming to the surface, are the things that are sort of in your future, because they exist as potentiality now, and they are attempting to come out into the open. They are karmic seeds that are attempting to ripen and then bear fruit and then turn into your life, which is usually they're going to turn into some kind of situation that you have to deal with to process your karma or process your baggage, things like that, right? And of course, the process of becoming enlightened supposedly is you face these things and you let them go. It's not like they're going to go away necessarily, but then you realize that you stop identifying as characters within these dramas as they come up, and then you eventually set yourself free from those dramas as they come up, to the point at which they never bother you again. They can actually sort of dissolve and go away, and then you achieve freedom from all the little dramas and all the little karmic formations. These are basically triggers from your past that have been planted there. So if you're ever triggered by something, an automatic reaction comes up, and you tend to perpetuate that trigger by acting it out. And the likelihood of it being triggered again is then reinforced. And this is what we call karma, and to some degrees. Karma is more cosmic than that. But we can look at it psychologically too, and just say these various karmic formations, if you act them out and get some kind of temporary gratification from them, they will continue to rise up again and continue to bother you and cause trouble for you, unless you face them down and make meaning out of them, resolve them, and let them go. And the tarot can help you do this. In fact, that's kind of what it does. This is also what happens when you dream at night, and this is why aspects of a dream, there's usually an element of discomfort to every dream. There's something going on that is conflict-oriented or fear-oriented or desire-oriented or inadequacy-oriented or vulnerability-oriented, something like that, because some kind of past trauma, probably from your evolutionary past, is surfacing and asking to be noticed, resolved, and released, let go of. And the things that are hovering near the surface that are they're about to come out into your life, but they're not quite there yet, you can kind of feel them coming up, and the tarot can help you see them coming. Okay, so when you have these karmic seeds that are about to bear fruit in your life, you can actually see them in the imagination first before they materialize in your outer life. So what we're getting at is a means of seeing what might be in the future. Okay, so when you have a karmic seed that has not yet manifested in physical reality, but that is in the process of sprouting and then eventually going to come out into the open and show itself in the physical world, you can see it coming before it actually matures or bears fruit in the physical world. And magically speaking, you can head it off there. You can address it, make meaning out of it, resolve it, let it go before it bears fruit in your physical life. Okay, this is the process of sort of living a charmed life. This is the real life of the magician, who can live a somewhat trouble-free existence. There's still problems that come up. We can't see everything, but everything is much easier, much smoother, much more relaxed, because the magician is in the habit of seeing things before they manifest and keeping them from becoming a big problem in the material future, let's say. There really is no such thing as a future, by the way, and the past. It's very important to understand why mystics will say that there's no such thing as time, or that time is an illusion. This doesn't mean that things aren't going to happen in the future. It simply means that the tendency to make a line out of time, to make a timeline, that's not real. Okay, and if you view your life in terms of a timeline, birth, school, work, death, right, something like that, then the current moment is just a little two-dimensional, let's say, sliver in that timeline. It's moving along, and the present moment is just this little tiny compact thing, and the vastness of the past and the vastness of the future is behind you and ahead of you, and all you have is this little tiny confined space of the now. This is not the way to look at time. Okay, time ultimately doesn't exist, really, but we need to set it free from that timeline, because if you look for that timeline, look around, there is no such thing. Okay, and everything is just happening now, and it's not happening in this little sliver of time on your timeline. It's happening everywhere all at once. Bam! Big explosion, right? Upwelling, constantly upwelling. This is time? Well, see, time as a timeline does not exist. But then we can start to get into discussions of space-time. Space with motion in it. This is a more accurate description of space-time than space that simply has stuff going on in it. Some kind of drama playing itself out. Okay, that would be more accurate. And then, and to only regard a timeline, or a timeline of a calendar, a timeline of a video recording, these are convenient ways of supposedly measuring time, but the timeline does not exist, okay? And so when you are doing tarot, if the future is involved with the tarot spread, the illusion of the timeline is certainly played with, but there's much more to a tarot spread than simply the illusion of time as a line. Okay, so in the last video, I talked briefly about every tarot card does bring us into some kind of dualistic scenario, especially when it's a really cool tarot deck like the Rider-Waite tarot deck. And as you can see here, this is an example of a love relationship or a timid desire relationship, a romantic relationship, with all kinds of meaning potentially there. Okay, it's not necessarily all good. It's not all bad. It's just kind of stuff that can come out of that, and you can see if there's something that's about to mature karmically for you. You might notice it in the card, and this could be your future. Okay, because it exists right now as potentiality, and it's about to come out and turn into a shitstorm dramatically, possibly, right? Unless you address it and resolve it on the level of imagination before it reaches the world of action and turns into physical circumstances. Likewise, another dualistic relationship between, I guess here it's like the people on the inside and the people on the outside, right? I think the least dualistic of the cards are the court cards, I would say. But even those are dualistic because they represent possible people in your life who then have a relationship with you or a relationship with the querent. The querent is the person who you're doing the divination for. Okay, and so the relationship then might exist between you and that card. But there's also, if you see a court card, there's very often a relationship between that court card person, let's say the King of Wands or something like that, and his or her environment. Okay, that's also a dualistic relationship because that's a particular personality has a way of seeing the world. And then you can see that pop up in your tarot spread, let's say, and you can then say, what does this personality have to do with what's going on right now with me, right? Something like that. Is this one of the people? Is this one of the roles that I can play? Is this someone who might step into my life and offer some advice or some antagonism? Something like that, right? What's going to pop up for me next? So remember, reading the future is kind of there because the things that are surfacing on the level of imagination have the potential to come out into the physical world. So they might be in the future, unless you can head them off. And there are other things you can do. You might see good things in the future, and you can decide whether you want to sort of act as a gardener and provide the best conditions possible for those karmic seeds to ripen and turn into that wonderful scenario. Okay. Or you can find a way to discourage those conditions from happening if you don't like them, or it'd be better to make peace with them and to resolve them, of course, not to try to push them away with banishings and things like that. And so what we're getting at here is when people tend to do a tarot spread, like usually that card, you see that cross there, the card that's on the right is in the future, let's say, and the card that's on the left is in the past. That looks like a fairly good spread there. At least the past seems pretty horrible, and the future seems at least a lot of initiative there in the future for the immediate future there. And but more interesting, really, because the right card and the left card there, they represent the illusion of the timeline. Okay, and the querent himself, or you yourself, if you're doing a divination for yourself, you are in the very center of that cross, as the ego in the center of his magic circle, right? And so the card on the right represents the immediate future, and the card on the left represents the immediate past. And then, so what's going on with the card above and the card below? All right, so I found it interesting because I didn't really look at the Celtic Cross Tarot spread the way it's being taught, like all over the internet and things like that. And until today, I looked at some of the spreads out there, and the interpretations of the Celtic Cross are very diverse, very different. Even the procedure of laying the cards down can vary quite a bit. So the way I learned it in the Golden Dawn is it's funny because the Golden Dawn my teachers didn't really say a lot about what each card means. We kind of just stuck to the more metaphoric, figurative words used for each card, so that your mind can then experience whatever needs to come up behind that particular saying. Okay, I'll get to that in a moment. So most people tend to focus on what will be or worried about the future, right? Probably more interesting is the card up above and the card below. If we are to interpret the cross there, and we are also are scholars of the Tree of Life and the Tree of Life diagram, the realm of pure potentiality is up above, and the realm of actuality of the physical world of action is down below. So what might be more interesting then is the card up above there. And when you lay that down, you say, this card crowns him, or this card crowns me, if you are the one you're doing the reading for. And what that means, if the card crowns you, it means this is in the position of Kether, the crown, Kether at the top of the Tree of Life, which represents pure potentiality. This is what wants to emerge. It's in the state of pure potentiality. Because of that, it's sort of governing the whole situation. And this is a sort of drama that wants to emerge, but of course, there's all kinds of tribulations and other forces going on that might prevent it from emerging in some kind of pure or honest form. And that's why the tarot has all these other cards going on below, supposedly representing the things that may or may not interfere with the manifestation of what's on top there. And the card down below represents then what is already manifested, what is already apparent in the physical environment, because that's down in Malkuth, or in the realm of action, or the physical world. So that's interesting, because then the card to the right supposedly represents the future, but then the card up above represents pure potentiality. Okay, so the card to the right represents the immediate future, but it's more like the illusion of time, what the illusion of time is telling you might be coming up, whereas the card up above is representing what's trying to be born, or what's trying to come out into the world to manifest. Might not be a good thing either. It might be a difficult thing. Things exist on the level of pure potentiality in a completely harmless, pure, innocent state. But of course, as they emerge, they become, wow, like they could be a very dramatic, very difficult challenge. They could be something beautiful. Okay, and so in the realm of pure potentiality, it's fine up there, but as it matures and becomes manifest, first manifest in the world of creation, and then the world of formation, and then the world of action. And when it emerges in the world of formation, which is the world of dreams or imagination, you can begin to sense that it wants to emerge. Okay, so that card up top can be really important. Okay, and this is what the difference between horizontal causality and vertical causality. A lot of times you could say that when people get into magic, if they're not initiates, they always think of causality in terms of, I push this and it goes that way, and then it pushes back and I go this way. This is horizontal causality, and that sort of cause and effect reality. Whereas the initiate tends to view things in a more mystical way, that despite all the push and pull of the cause and effect that goes horizontally, there's also vertical forces at work, and that these are just things that are attempting to manifest in the midst of the push and pull world. Okay, so the drama of push and pull, of cause and effect and horizontally, is really mainly just a manifestation of the things that are descending from above, from the realm of pure potentiality into actuality. Okay, so that card up above can be really important. Okay, and so if you're looking to predict the future, it's really important to look at what is trying to manifest, and then you can see it as possibly being interfered with as it attempts to manifest by all these other process cards. And there are many versions of the Celtic Cross spread. What I'm pointing out really is that all these various tarot spreads, they have some kind of philosophical or cosmological magical system behind them, probably an astrological one. In the Golden Dawn, they were heavily influenced by the Kabbalistic Tree of Life, and that's why I'm getting these various interpretations now. And you can see that card number 3, this is what crowns him. him being the significator, or the person who's you're doing the reading for. And we have what's before him. We have what's behind him is number 5. What's the yeah. It depends. Sometimes 5 and 6 were reversed. The idea there was that whichever way the card was facing, then the future would be where there's a card that's a significator. So when you lay it down one of these spreads, you put down the card that represents the person you're doing the divination for. Okay, and it usually would be one of the court cards. It represents a person that you think is more, represents that person that you're doing the divination for. And then, of course, you put down the first card and it covers that card up. And that's the current situation, pretty much. And the thing that crosses him is the thing that might be holding him back from what he wants, maybe. Or, very interestingly, it might be preventing that thing up on number 3 there from manifesting. What is it that's going to sort of try to thwart that process of manifestation? So card number 2 can be a really important one to look at. As can card number 9, hopes and fears. Okay. And notice how card number 10, what will come, doesn't really take on a lot of significance until you take card number 3 and card number 5 and card number 2 into consideration. Because you can see that number 3 wants to be born into the world of drama, back and forth, push and pull, right? And you can see that 4 is what has already been manifested. You can see that number 4 and number 5 there, let's say the past and the thing that's manifested down below and the thing that's in the past, those can be seen as kind of getting out of the picture, possibly. They could keep happening if you don't let go of them, right? They could just keep happening as karma. But then the things that are coming into the picture are more the, in this diagram, it would be card number 3 and number 6, what's before him, right? Those are the things coming into the picture. And then number 2 is what's trying to keep them maybe from manifesting, or it seems to be blocking them. And then ultimately those all come together with the other cards to form card number 10. Okay, so the important thing is here that we're not really looking into the future. We're looking into the realm of Yetzirah, or the world of imagination, where potential dramas of our life are beginning to merge in an imaginal sort of dream state where they can be seen and processed and experienced, and there's a whole science to how we do this, and it basically does involve the science of demon summoning and evocation and things that I've talked about in previous videos. But the ability to make peace with these scenarios before they manifest in the physical world, that's really the chief operation of the magician. A magician is somebody who basically surfs reality. He is pretty much able to see karmic forces as they rise up out of the ocean, and he's able to ride upon them, hopefully, skillfully, by sort of processing them before they become disastrous external, like dramas or calamity, right? Okay. And so the level of prediction of the future, that's not really real. It's really more looking into potentiality, the things that want to come into existence, and then the things that have already manifested and are probably going to subside now and disappear as more things emerge. Okay, and we can see things as sinking into the past and emerging from the future, but of course, past and future don't truly exist. They just appear to exist. Okay, so I hope that clarifies. You can see how using tarot to predict the future then becomes a sort of wishful thinking of the non-initiate, the sort of exoteric interpretation of magical methods, trying to see them as sorcery and things I can do to literally predict the future and attempt to cause things to have effects on a horizontal plane of existence. And when you take into account vertical causality, or the thing you take into account pure potentiality that wants to emerge, that is much more accurate as far as what's happening. That doesn't necessarily truly involve seeing the future, but it certainly looks as though you are predicting the future. And some pretty amazing predictions can be made using tarot in this way. Okay, it's basically knowing how karmic seeds are ripening and about to bear fruit. Basically, tarot is a way of looking into that, and these various other forms of divination can also help with that. Okay, so I hope I could clarify that. Can tarot be used to predict the future? Well, yes, but that's not really what's happening. But for all intents and purposes, it certainly seems as though you're doing that, and that makes magic really cool, right? All right. Well, then until next time.